Alright, welcome to November's cheese session, and it's exciting this week actually. This is one of the joys of old farm buildings. We've got lots of nooks and crannies we can find to try and film these. So yeah, today we're going to go over Scottish cheeses. We've got two fantastic producers, and actually there's a familial link as well through with the biscuits that we'll come on to. And what's been matched up is sort of OP's fantastic Kentish product, OP's Pickled Walnuts. Yeah, so we'll get on to those in a moment. Wine-wise, for those who are on the wine, the guys have gone from Mountain Pinot Noir. Again, with some of the cheeses, Highland Scottish cheeses, the wine should match up beautifully. Yeah. Again, it should work with some of the deeper flavours that you'll get in the blue and the minger, but without being overpowering as well. So I think we'll try those as we go forward. As always, the board looks fantastic. For me, it is a visual feast, and it's got to start on that point. How does it actually appeal to the eyes? We've got a lovely rind-washed Minger over here, and again, what a name, which we'll come on to a little later. Blue Murder, Morangi Brie, and again a classic cheddar made up in Scotland. So wonderful board. Let's start with the condiments in the first instance, just to get them going. I love pickled walnuts. So outside of my mother's house is a huge walnut tree where I grew up. And of course in Kent we used to have these wonderful orchards, these plantations of walnuts. They're an important crop. OP's, being the traditional family firm in Sittingbourne, picklers, they create some wonderful condiments, have maintained this sort of Kentish tradition through their pickled walnuts. Unfortunately, not so much walnuts grown in Kent anymore, but the actual tradition of it is fantastic. And the way it works is really is almost as a chutney in the fruit. Try it by itself. It does have that tang, but as you can imagine, when we talk about walnuts, we're not talking about the dried older walnuts. We're talking about younger green walnuts that are picked quite young. So they've got their husk on, they're the green outside that you would see on the tree. And then they're soaked in vinegar and other condiments. Oh. They're really soft, but with a bit of a crunch. But again, you get that tang that, particularly with some of the stronger cheeses, just works beautifully. But we'll try it, particularly, I think it's going to go beautifully with the cheddar. Right, biscuits. Highland bakery. You can see the Highland cattle on the front with the Scottish imagery. And these are lovely biscuits to go with cheese. They come from the Reed family. In fact, Joe, who's the youngest son of the Reed family, the couple who moved from Somerset up into the Isle of Mull to make cheese, created his company with his wife. So you've got a lovely connection here. Somerset family, up in the Isle of Mull, Scotland, producing a wonderful biscuit that goes beautifully with the Isle of Mull cheese, but again, across the range. Lovely crunch. And the one we've got today is black peppercorn. I know pepper's great, you just get that pick up, you just get that little hit at the back that adds its own character without overpowering the flavour of the cheeses again. But it's a lovely biscuit in its own right. I have to confess that I was only in the Isle of Mull over the summer, so there's a bit of emotive stories coming through. We went out with the family to the Isle of Iona, which is stunning, but you have to cross Mull to get to Iona. It takes, it takes about 25 days, but anyway, well worth it when you get there. And we visited the Isle of Mull cheesery, which we'll come on to, obviously the Isle of Mull here, that Joe's family own, and it is incredible. They have a cafe there called the Glass House. This old glass house that overlooks the farm. And as you can imagine, with a family that make one of the best cheddars in the world, everything is cheese. So we have macaroni cheese, cheese toasties, layers and layers of melting cheddar everywhere. It's absolutely delicious. So well worth a trip up to the Isle of Mull. And indeed, if you get a chance to go to Iona, but certainly to Tobermory, where the guys have their family farm, the Reed family, and they make their cheese. So just on the Reed family, let's start with the cheddar. They're a Somerset family, so again a traditional dairy family, farmed during the 70s that they were farming the dairy cattle, selling milk into the cooperatives, and it was a real struggle during the late 70s. They had a passion for Scotland and made their way up to the Mull regularly, and when they were up there they found this beautiful farm that they decided that actually they were going to make a change in life and head up to the Highlands to make cheese rather than just producing milk that was going to these great big vats of milk that there was too much sloshing around the UK and Europe at the time anyway. So they haven't gone up there with their boys, one of which is Joe now, who creates these biscuits. They took their Somerset heritage and have created what again is typically a West Country cheese, a cheddar. And what's quite particular about this is that it's made from milk that is from cows that graze on the grass, as well as in the winter feed on the grain that is left over from the whisky production in Tobermory. So you get some lovely character coming through the cheese itself. This has a decent yellow to it, but they can be quite white, quite pale in colour. And often that relates to the sort of the harshness of the environment, that they don't have the richness in the grass to really give that yellow character that you'll find in some of the West Country cheeses. just has a lovely, lovely traditional cheddar character. What I always find is a high level of acidity, you know? So it does, it pinches around the tongue. You really get that sort of agricultural character in the cheese itself. Having been on the farm, you know, I can imagine it now, the fields around the farm building, yeah, that heavy smell of cow in the yard. But I think that's what this cheese really harks back to. It's got a big, rich, mouth-filling flavour. I'm going to try a bit with a wine. Again, it's delicious. And again, it has a lightness to it, a beautiful colour there. The fruit on the nose is fantastic. But again, I think where you have a cheese like the Island mild cheddar that is so rich and broad in its flavour profile, it works well with the wine and really pulls those characters out of the wine itself. Whilst the wine is delicious, and I'll sit down and enjoy it later, what I will really look forward to is a bit of this, and the Opie's family's pickled walnut. Again, you can imagine, again, that for me is a good Kentish combination, right? A bit of chutney and cheese. In this case here, we're going classy, pickled walnut. I'll tell you what, why don't we stick Joe's, so the youngest son's biscuit, put it together. Mmm. Mmm. Completely mixed of textures, and I think that for me is a perfect mouthful, because you're getting the brittleness from the biscuit, you get the firm, smooth texture, and then just a touch of crunch and real strong acidity from the walnut. So again, absolutely perfect, like a Plowman's in one go. Anyway, so there's our cheddar, absolutely beautiful, a hard cheese. Think about Christmas, we always think about Christmas. Coming up now, and sort of Christmas cheese boards, this would be an ideal one. Look at the colour and the variations. We've got soft, hard and blue. The guys over here are the Highland Fine Cheese Company, and they make a range of cheeses. Again, as a family, they had their origins in just milk production, but as with a lot, sort of realised that there was opportunities to add value through making good cheese. So they started with some of the traditional Scottish cheeses, a Crowdy, but here we've got some of their sort of their more modern innovations. Let's go with the Minger. Again, I suppose a bit of a chuckle. They use a rind-washed, annatto-based wash to put on the rind to give that lovely orange colour, which sort of shouts Highland warrior, I suppose. And again, you know, with a name like Minger, you're expecting it to be super punchy. Let's give it a go. It's a lovely curd, really soft. You get quite a firm skin, all perfectly edible. This is annatto that gives the colour to it, so a natural colour. I think it's a lovely mild rind-washed cheese that, in the first instance, you know, is pretty subtle, but then does build, and you get some of that sort of that dampness, that richness and flavour that you'd expect from the washed rind. But again, visually, it's absolutely stunning, and again, provides a sort of a textural difference from your cheddar. These guys are up in Tame, so we were on the Isle of Mull, so what's that, west coast of Scotland on the islands. Now we've moved across further north, but up on the east coast, so we're getting a bit of variation across Scotland. Two cracking families producing their own milk to make their own cheeses. So there's a Minger. It's good. I'm still, yeah. For me, this is the winner. You know, this cheddar, I love a cheddar, and the Isle of Mull is one of the great British cheddars. But that's it's a lovely rind-washed cheese, and it's beautiful on the board. I'm going to leave our blue Merlot to the end. One is the blue, and two because it's quite a fun cheese as well, with a bit of a narrative behind it. Here we've got a lovely little brie-style cheese. It's a great sized button, and you can see we're getting some, you've got the firmness in there. Still some way to ripen, but it ripens beautifully on the edge. And it's Morangey, I believe it is named after one of the glens. It's the Glen of Tranquility, I believe Morangey is. And the idea there is that actually this isn't a big punchy over-flavoured cheese. It has a subtlety to it. It's calming sort of cheese that actually, with a nice drop of peanut at the end of the day, would relax you after a heavy day's work in the fields of surrounded by a cow. It always amuses me, doesn't it? I imagine sort of Scotland being sort of rough and rugged, and people eating great chunks of meat, and here they are with fine cheeses and wine at the end of a busy day. That's a lovely, lovely brie. I think sometimes with these craft bries, the skin can be quite overpowering, but it's got a lovely balance to it. So just a little bite on the skin, but a very so again, mild character. But you can chase the dairy on there. Again, no bitterness, and I think it's a lovely cheese. And again, with the peanut, it's going to go down a treat. And it pulls the floral character right out of the peanut. I quite enjoy with this. Again, old agricultural buildings, they get a bit fresh and cold. Yeah, there's a little bit of a chill on the edge of the Pinot Noir that we've got here, and actually I think works a treat with the wine and well worth a look at rather than just stick it at room temperature. Actually, a little bit of chill on it, yeah, it gives it a certain character. Right, we're going to come to the final cheese, and this one is Blue Murder. So originally called Blue Monday, and it was a cheese that was created by yeah, the great Blur bassist Alex James and Juliet Harbert. Juliet Harbert is a Kiwi who came across many decades ago to establish herself as one of the prime cheese movers and shakers in the UK. And anyway, so she was chums with Alex James, and he post Blur decided to start a farm, which he still has actually. I think he has big festivals on it these days. But this cheese was one that they in effect created. And the Highland Fine Cheese Company then in effect took the recipe and they moved it from Blue Monday, which was a nod to the New Order song, and now called it Blue Murder. So again, you can see that lovely veining coming through. I think it's, you know, it has a very light crust, and it's quite a small unit cheese, but it's got a lovely malleable body to it. That's delicious. It's almost got salty, and again, Tain is up on the east coast of Scotland with these guys. It's almost got that salty sea character that comes through, and it's lovely. You can imagine, you know, when you're standing next to the coast on a breezy day, and that salt water comes in off the coast, and you kind of go and get that taste in your mouth that sticks to your face. You almost have that character in the cheese itself, and that is lovely, very continental style in that sense, but at the same time has that coastal character, which I think is delicious. So it's not over sweet, which you might expect in some continental style blues, but it's got that lovely salt edge to it, soft without being too bitter again. It's absolutely delicious cheese, and I think what we had from the Highland Fine Cheese Company, again, just an illustration of completely different styles of cheese coming from one cheesemaker. Yeah, really, really good cheesemakers there. Whereas over here with the Reed family, they know what they do, and they do it bloody well. You know, it's a cheddar, it's a Somerset style, West Country style cheddar, and absolutely delicious. So there we have it. Those are our Scottish cheeses. Well worth, you know, you can go and visit these guys as well. Well worth the trip up. And certainly over the summer with the staycations, we spent a fair bit of time in Scotland. Beautiful cheeses. Isle of Mull, yeah, it's one of our great British cheeses. But again, what the guys over here on the East Coast are doing is something else. We put it in with the bit of Kent. There's always got to be a bit of Kent, so we've got our pickled walnuts in there. And again, Joe and Dawn, his wife, again the youngest son of the Reed family, making us biscuits up on Mull as well. You've got a wonderful Scottish experience, topped up with a bit of Pinot. Thank you very much. Enjoy it. Have a nice weekend. And of course, we are rolling into Christmas, so don't forget. If you got any questions around your cheeses for Christmas, get on the emails, give us a buzz. More than happy to talk them through. Yeah, it's prime time to be enjoying this stuff, and of course, yeah, makes a perfect gift for Christmas as well. So enjoy.